All right, it is 7 o'clock on Thursday, June 12th. This is the regular city council meeting for the city of Alburnett, and we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, roll call, Counselor Trump, Counselor Mosman,
Present.
Counselor Sukup,
Present.
Counselor Myers.
Present.
The record reflects that Counselor West is absent, but we do have a quorum to conduct business. With that, I would seek a motion to approve the agenda.
So
Moved by Sukup. Do I have a second?
second.
Second by Myers. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Brings us to the sheriff's report, page 2 of your packet. We don't have a sheriff present tonight, but from May 8th through June 12th, there were 27 calls for service and they've met the required 43 hours. If you have any questions or concerns, you can send those over to myself or Vicky. She's back in the office tomorrow and we will get those to Major Colston. That brings us to citizen comments. We have 2 types of comments here in the city of Alburnett, those for agenda related items and non-agenda related items. We do ask that you state your name and address clearly for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes. If you are on the agenda, we'll recognize you then. So do we have any citizen comments for agenda related items? Hearing none, non-agenda related items.
My name is Dustin Brown, Community Diamond Club. I'm at 228 3rd Avenue North. I'd like to briefly discuss 2025 benefit day schedule.
And just for the record, it was requested to be on the agenda. We failed to do that, so I've asked Mr. Brown to speak during public comment, just to give them the opportunity to plan ahead for their upcoming major event.
This year, we're hoping to do like we have in the past, about benefit days on the first Saturday of August. We are hoping to, or we're planning on changing things up a little bit. Instead of having a morning parade, we're going to move pretty much everything towards the afternoon and into the evening. On the front page, we have our agenda laid out. We're hoping to be able to close Main Street to begin setup for the parade at 2:30. At 2 p.m. So before that, we'll have parade lineup available. Start the parade at 3. Right after the parade, we'll kick off the kids' activities and the touch of truck, both of which we're hoping to have set up here on Main Street. And hopefully, like last year, we'll be able to use the front of the city hall for the kids' activities. And just little backyard games for the kids to play. We were hoping to start our kids tractor pull at 4:30. I believe the plan as of now is to do that behind the bank. Excuse me. From 4 to 6, we'll have a horse-drawn carriage rides that are just going to go around town, and as we've been told that after the rides are all done, that the people offering the rides will also do a cleanup. So they'll go through and clean up any accidents that the horses have had in the roads and get that all cleaned up. 6 p.m. we've got a family fun walk at the foundation scheduled. 7:30 to 8:30 in the area between the post office and Gibby's. We'll be having a alumni wrestling meet with wrestling mats, and we'll have our bleachers down here. 9 p.m. pie auction, 9:15 to midnight or so. The band will be playing. And as long as everything goes well and accordingly, we'll have everything cleaned up and out of here and roads back open by 1 a.m. On the second sheet, we've got the parade route and proposed road closures. The staging at the co-op, and just like in years past, it's going to be the same route. So it'll come down Main, turn down First, go over to Third, up to Howard, and then back to the co-op. And on the third page, we have our proposed road closed for Main Street for the post-parade activities.
And I know historically when you've done it on Main Street, which has been several years, you have brought in like porta potties. Is that the plan?
Yes, we have porta potties scheduled to be dropped off, and they'll be in the side parking on the south side of the post office building.
Okay.
And we've also been in contact with Central City about the post office, and the driver has multiple phones or cell phone numbers to contact us throughout the day to make sure that we're available to move equipment or anything to get out of the way so he can get in and do his job.
Perfect. Yeah, that was a surprise one year. I had no idea they come at like 4:30 on a Saturday. I had no clue.
Seems awfully late in the day, I guess.
Yeah. So thank you for planning for that.
Saturday morning too, didn't know that.
Huh.
Right in the middle of the car.
That's private, partial, yeah. The private vehicle postmaster that's working in, comes over from Central City, but picked up. We have to have that open for.
Good to know.
Where is the path for the family fun walk? Is it just all on the,
I believe it's on the track.
We're at the complex.
okay, out of the complex, okay. And then is the band just going to be,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
band will be in the same spot as usual. It'll be set up on a trailer or a high rise in front of Gibby's.
things can change. So,
Well, like I said, we're
double check.
we're changing up a couple things. We get 2 comments of, there's not enough stuff to do all day, and why can't it be like it was 20 years ago? Well, we can't do anything about it being the way it was 20 years ago because insurance costs and everything else and properties and we can't be like we used to be. And with the heat of everything, we're hoping that by moving everything towards the afternoon and evening and shrinking the amount of time that all the activities are going on to butt up right after one another, that we're able to keep more people down here and keep them entertained longer. So we'll see how it works, and if it doesn't, we'll try something else.
Have you guys ever looked into getting like a cooling station, like just like a misting station for people to
Yeah,
walk through?
we've looked into renting tents, fans, and the coolant misters and everything. I don't remember the cost off the top of my head, but it was like a quarter of our yearly budget. So it's a little out of our price range.
Bring your own square bottle, Chris.
Yeah. I can find one of the council or one of the club members to walk around and blow on you all day.
One thirty-five in the deck gun.
Yeah.
Call fire department will cool you down.
Get a bicycle and somebody with a super soaker and
Yeah,
just, you know.
during touch a truck, the fire trucks will be across here, so if you're hot, they can cool you down.
And we'll be staffing the fun walk, so.
Nice.
I think we'll probably be helping them close off the streets for the parade. It's gotta have enough people to go around and between us, I think we can pull it off.
How far is your fun walk? Is it a couple laps, 1 lap?
Um, I don't know, maybe,
Oh, okay, that's
I
fine.
don't remember off the top of my head, but it's kind of come down and um, I believe that at that point, it's just kind of come down and walk as far as you're comfortable with, especially with not knowing how hot it is. And
Right,
everything
right.
else. It is.
Okay.
It's kind of come down and do what you can.
Okay,
Cassie talked about having prizes. So I wonder if she was thinking, people can walk, do your, how many laps you did, and we can look at counting who did the most laps or what team did the most laps. Everybody would be given a goodie bag. Yep,
Yeah.
that was mentioned.
We'll have multiple coolers of water and
Water, goodie bag,
Yep.
walk around. Probably 2 or 3 laps, if everybody can handle that.
we hope so. We're hoping it's not as hot as it has been in the past.
If
good.
it's super hot, it'll be half a lap.
In the middle,
Walk
it's
out.
doable.
50-yard sprint. Okay, all right, thank you.
So we do have a special event application, so let me know if you need one of those. I can go ahead and print one off.
Yeah.
And we'll just have you fill that out if you could get it to us for the July meeting. There's a 30-day requirement, but since we missed having you on the agenda, no worries about that. And then we have gotten the request from our insurance, because you'll have to provide a certificate of insurance that you add the city as an insured on your policy. So if you could look into that. I think those are about the only things on here I'm seeing. I pulled up the application to make sure we weren't missing anything. So yeah,
Oh.
just add us as an insured. It shouldn't cost you anything.
That's
that
just
way.
for that event, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep, exactly.
You don't need the application.
Perfect.
I can take it.
The one question that we had was in the past, we've had the steel cattle gates around in the evening. Not sure why it started or how it started. I don't, it's just part of me wondered, part of me believes that it started when the club itself was selling beer, but we don't do that anymore. All the drinks by everybody are purchased at the bars. So we were looking to save time and manpower by not putting the tailgates all the way around. We'd have them in a couple areas, but not all the way around it, like coming around the bars and everything else. And wasn't sure if there was a policy or a code or something like that that we needed to follow to make sure that those were up.
Not if you're not serving it. So then it's under the bar's license and they know if they're allowed outdoor service or any of that, but
And we've spoke to them, and as far as I've been told, they both understand that they can sell beer obviously in their in their bars and a certain distance outside the front door.
yeah, I think they both have outdoor service, so. But no, you won't have to do any, that's under their license, so nothing additional for
I
you.
wanted to double check and make sure that we were.
No, it's a great question.
Some of us in the club haven't been there as long as the cattle gates have been being put up for this and stuff.
Some of us have been there since day one. Sorry.
And we'll help with barricades. So we put them out now for the car show, so we got plenty of road close that we'll help with.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then, yeah, it sounds like you've already talked to most of the establishments, the bank and the insurance will be closed at that point, so
Yep.
I think you should be good.
And we've got flyers to go up to notify the people in the apartments above the post
Perfect.
office and everything, so. Everybody hopefully has been accounted for, so we've got a little time here to make sure that we crossed our T's and dotted our I's and everything, so we've got, make sure everybody's talked to. And I work with one of the guys that lives in the apartment, so I can just have him tell all of his neighbors.
Spread the word. Awesome. Any other questions from council or indication that they'd have any issue with the short turnaround on their application in July? Appreciate it. I did print that off for you, so since you're here.
But knowing the
Oh, I
wife,
did it two-sided, but you're good. So
knowing the wife sure wouldn't put this up.
that works for us. And I already made a note for the July agenda, so we will make sure that you are on that. So my apologies about that. All right.
Guys have done a good job up there cleaning that up and getting it looking good. So I haven't been up there since my kids were in baseball. It's been years. So I had a grandson play there the other night and I was impressed.
It's an asset for the community for sure. So we appreciate it.
We always enjoy hearing that people are noticing the work that we're putting into it and what we're trying to do with the club and everything. So thank you.
All right. Any other comments for non-agenda related items? Brings us to the mayor's report. I actually don't have anything for this month that isn't already on the agenda, so we will get to that as we move through. Council reports, Councilor Myers,
Nothing at this time.
Councilor Sukup,
Nothing at this time.
Councilor Bosenberg,
Nope, no.
Councilor Trump.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Written reports, fire department. I do want to note that all these written reports, none of them are here, so also that. So we do page 3, starts your fire department report. So we do have our update from Chief West. Delegates, anything to add?
No, he's covered just about everything on here at this point. We're looking forward to the firehouse subs grant to open up this next quarter so that we can get a grant going for that. Egg in the Park was a great turnout. And of course, as you all know, we have a car show coming Saturday here, so it'll be pretty jam-packed, I think. We've got most everything covered. I think everything's covered. As a matter of fact, we've been meeting weekly, so we've covered a ton of information. So it's going very smoothly this time. And we did make contact with Lake County Sheriff's Office so that they know that the roads are going to be closed for the car show and for bike night for ACDC's session. And let them have a map, let them know what's going to be shut off so that if they have an emergency, they know that there's detours and what to expect.
Appreciate it.
And they'll probably stop in to make sure that everything's going okay. And if we need help, they'll be here.
Sounds good. Any questions on the fire report? And good to see our first junior firefighter signed up, so
Yes.
finished filling that
We have
roster.
a couple more that are interested, so we should be getting applications for those. And one other thing, July will be coming up here, so July 7th, lifeguard is coming in.
Nice.
So you need to be aware that chopper will be landing out there by the
That's a Monday, right? During the meeting. That's a Monday, correct?
Monday.
You might want, I don't know if you do that on the city website, just because it might be easier for people to see that.
We put that
If
up.
they see the helicopter come in, it's just routine training.
I can put it on Facebook. Yeah.
That they're not thinking that somebody's really hurt and then we have a bunch of gawkers.
People are welcome to watch it, but we just ask that they stay out of the parking lot. So we don't have to worry about people getting free injuries.
Sure.
What date is that?
We put that on the sign,
July 7th.
We can look at it. Yeah.
or maybe.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bethany.
Good note. Anything else? Any questions? Sorry, did I interrupt you there?
Any questions on the car show coming up?
So
I think
excited.
we've covered that very well in the last.
Did I see on Facebook record number of pre-registrations? So that's exciting.
We were at 59 last night when I wrapped up and we didn't have any more come in.
And the weather looks fantastic.
187.
So we have 59 already registered and we've got a lot more that we've heard are coming, so.
I heard the Corvette Club's coming up
Yes.
this year. They canceled theirs and coming up here, so.
Yep.
Looking forward to it.
That was kind of great because We have a lot of them coming this direction, and Hawkeye Downs has got one going on the same day we do. South Side of Cedar Rapids, so it's kind of ironic. We're gonna get quite a few.
Good. All right, anything else on fire? Appreciate you as always. Public Works, any questions on Mac's report? He did not have anything to add. I did check in with him before he took off for a couple of days. All right, most notable, and I will celebrate this with our fire department friends as well, is that the generator for well 3 and the fire station is complete and fully operational, so yay, that's a huge relief every time they call for storms, that if we lose power, we will be set to go for both of those critical facilities, so very exciting. All right, that moves us to the clerk's report. Any questions there? One thing she failed to mention on current work in progress is that I do know she's looking at water rates. And just to make sure we're keeping up with expenses with our water revenues, so that more analysis to be done, nothing to share with council just yet, but we are looking into that. And then I know she left a note in her email about the profit and loss when I spoke to her. This is an accountant for you. There's $60. There's something wrong with like a $60 charge. So that is the difference between what you receive now versus when she closed the May books. So nothing material missing from the profit and loss. And we are coming up on the end of the fiscal year. So this is through the end of May. And so you're gonna see we're sitting pretty good. We're getting close, which is the point, spend our budget, specifically public safety. So fire department, I know we're monitoring, but we're super close to July 1. So if we need to, we can move anything. And there's one that appears over. So the community and economic development does look like we are $44,000 over. It does that every year. That is where our TIF payment comes out of, and it just looks funny on the budget, but we're not actually over. And so that is the story on that one. So no concerns there. That is as expected. Any questions on profit and loss or the treasurer's report? All right, brings us to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Bosenberg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trum. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right. Page 17, new business, set public hearing for a zoning ordinance change. Nothing in your packet on this just yet, so I'm still working with the city attorney. We received a request for a change to how we handle accessory buildings or accessory structures within residential districts. So I'm working on the attorney to draft that up. I still have to meet with planning and zoning. But primarily what I was just looking for council is if we could set the public hearing for our July meeting. If things aren't in order by then, we just don't hold it. But that way it's on the calendar versus having to wait another month to get that on the books. So like I said, nothing to share at this time, but we would be looking at setting the public hearing for July 10th at 7 p.m.
That require motion.
Yes, it does.
I move that we set that meeting July 10th
At 7 p.m.
at 7.
Motion by Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trum. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Workbooks migration. So you do have something in your packet there, page 17. This is a comparison that Vicky put together. And actually, we're going to pause because our sheriff's deputy is arriving. Good evening. We're gonna get you right in and out of here.
Yeah, anyways.
Perfect. We went over your report, so yeah, just if there's anything of note that you
Not
needed to
to
add.
my knowledge, I know that you guys have something coming as car show, correct?
Yep.
We are aware of that, so we will be.
Yeah, that can, yeah.
Yep, we are aware of that, so we know the road closures. I got really nothing else to report to you guys. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns?
And food tent, just the food tent, whoever's working and get your.
I will let everyone know that. Thank you, appreciate that.
We'll have 3 or 4 of them in town.
Over here.
There you go.
So yeah, other than that, that's about it.
Council, anything for our deputy? No,
Sorry I'm late,
that's all right. Appreciate you stopping in.
of course. Thank you guys.
Have a safe night.
Have a safe night.
All right. So clerk books migration, you're probably thinking to yourself, gee, aren't we already on clerk books?
Yeah.
Well, we are. Today we are on a version that sits on top of QuickBooks.
Mhm.
And so it requires us to have a QuickBooks license, and then also we pay for the ClerkBooks software as well. ClerkBooks, and there are limitations with that. So a great example is their utility billing, what we use for our water billing, is a completely separate module. It talks to the ClerkBooks side, but you have to open them separately. And if you try to do things while one is processing, it gets a little picky. So ClerkBooks has actually developed their own standalone software. It is in alpha edition, so we would be an early adopter. It has all of the base functionality in their existing ClerkBooks application. It does not rely on QuickBooks. And so we would be able to cancel that license. We did have some struggles in transferring the ownership on that license. QuickBooks can be kind of difficult to work with, especially when you're a small customer like we are. So this would also then combine those functions. The utility billing will be directly integrated. They're adding functionality we don't have today, such as time cards. We use a separate system for time cards. It is a free system. We don't pay for it, but Vicky has to manually transfer the hours over. This would all be in one place. And then they're just going to continue to build and iterate on this. So the reason we're bringing it to you now is as an early adopter, there is an extreme discount on the implementation or the setup fee. And so we're looking to capitalize on that. It has to be approved by the end of June for us to be able to take advantage of it. So Vicky and I have both looked at it. Like I said, all the functionality that we're using is already there, and you'll see on page, it's ways down, page 21 through 25. 25 specifically has the future upgrades. So they've already got their list of things that they're looking to implement. I know online payments is going to be one of them, which is something we've been wanting to do, but had a hard time finding something that integrated into ClerkBooks that wouldn't cost us an egregious fee to be able to use. So they're looking to do all of that directly within their system. So a lot of benefits, and should be a pretty easy lift and shift since we're already on ClerkBooks to be able to move our files over, and they cleaned all those up when we implemented, so we're pretty excited. Oh, the other key thing right now, because it sits on top of QuickBooks, you can only use it from Vicky's laptop. The other laptop is connected, like you both can log in, but Vicky's has to be here. So like now when she's at a conference, no one else can process payments. The ClerkBooks Alpha Edition, as they call it, is web-based. So we'll be able to access from anywhere. So that's also a huge benefit.
And did I see something that council might be able to look at some of the budgets and things online?
Yep, so there'll be council logins where basically you have like a view only access, which again with QuickBooks is not, it's probably possible, but we'd have to pay for a license, so it's just not practical. So yeah, with it being web-based, we'll be able to open up more access. Because there's no secrets. Any questions?
Did they say anything about how long what is the discount that we're receiving? Is it on like a per month basis?
It's on the setup, the implementation.
Okay,
So it's 50% off the implementation.
okay,
The monthly charge won't be affected.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just by moving early, basically, we help them learn into it, and so they give us a discount for maybe dealing with some bugs early on.
One time fee.
Yes, yep, the one-time initial setup. Which Vicky's thing that I know she's had some conversations with them, so I tend to trust her numbers. She has the initial setup at 1,875. The quote they gave us has it at 3,840. And again, that's with the discount. So without the discount, it would be, what is that? 66,720. Or somewhere's around there, 7,000 something. There's two numbers I'd have to add together really quickly, but. So that is the difference. We receive a $3,840 discount by early implementation.
And our ongoing annual subscription is substantially less with these people.
Yes, so the QuickBooks license today, which I do think they increase year over year, the QuickBooks license alone is almost $2,400. And we will be able to get rid of that entirely. And that renews in December, and so if we get rid of it now, we'll get a prorated refund. But obviously, we'll have to wait till after we move, which is probably gonna be close to October, November by the time they get us scheduled.
Page 20 looks like a breakdown of, it's 38.40 for 100% of the installation fee. And so, they're waiving. If there's one option where it's 50% down, 50 on the final, and they're just going to waive the final payment. So we would just pay the 50% down. Then it says estimated monthly fees of $116.35.
Yeah,
So,
which is consistent with what we pay today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the ongoing fees won't change, it's just the implementation. But again, we return on the QuickBooks license.
as I say, if we can consolidate systems too.
And it'll just run more smoothly. Everything's being done in a native system versus trying to force it the way that it is. And I will tell you, using this system has been a godsend. With a lot of the transitions that we've had, it's very intuitive. This last budget season, I guess a lot of G-Works users were having some issues and missed deadlines, and so it was really nice to be on the QuickBooks system. Any other questions on that? I would be looking for a motion to approve moving to the QuickBooks Alpha Edition.
Make the motion, we move to the QuickBooks Alpha Edition.
Motion by Bosenberg,
Second.
second by Trum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, page 26, tobacco cigarette renewal for Buds LLC. The only correction I see, it does not appear that they changed the end date on the top, so that's from 7/1/25 through what should be 6/30/26. That is the standard renewal time frame is for a fiscal year. But it is correct on the permit. That is on page 28. Well, the rest of it, I believe, is all the same. Any questions on the cigarette permit renewal? Hearing none, I would seek a motion to approve. Moved by Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. All right. Next, we have accepting acknowledgement of the settlement agreement first violation. So there was a violation of cigarette sales. And so the retailer was given the option for a public hearing or to settle without. and they did choose to settle without. Page 29 is the settlement agreement that they were sent. We do have one returned and signed from them. I couldn't find it with Vicky being out of the office, so if council is interested, we will make sure that you get a copy of that, but it is here somewhere. And so, yes, so Buds has returned the acknowledgement and the settlement agreement. So they are knowingly waiving their hearing, submit to the statutory penalties. All of this is prescribed by Iowa code, and they have already paid the $300 fine. So now I just need council. What you'll see on page 30 is the acknowledge, we are accepting the acknowledgement and settlement agreement. So I will go ahead and read this. On this 12th day of June, 2025, in lieu of a public hearing on the matter, the Alburnett City Council approves the attached acknowledgement settlement agreement between the above captioned permittee and the city of Alburnett. Therefore, the Alburnett City Council finds that the above captioned permittee has remitted to the city of Alburnett a civil penalty in the amount of $300 for a violation that occurred on or about April 23rd, 2025. Be advised that this sanction will count as a first violation of Iowa Code, section 453A, subsection 2, subsection 1, pursuant to Iowa Code, section 453A, subsection 22, subsection 2A. It is therefore ordered that the judgment in this matter hereby be satisfied. So I would need a motion to approve or a motion to accept the acknowledgement settlement agreement. Moved by Sukup. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bosenberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, this brings us to resolution 06-2025-01, the Iowa Public Agency Investment Trust Resolution. We've got some friends here tonight, because I'm gonna be honest, I did not keep notes when Vicky was talking to me, so I'm really glad that you could join
Yeah,
us.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having us. I'll be as brief as I can. I'll make sure to answer any questions that you have. I did send over, so I will say, I sent over some calculations. I realized when we got here, I don't know if those are completely updated. Does it say 700 on?
Yes.
Okay, so that is not the correct, obviously account balance that you have. So I did run those numbers, so I have those, so I can go over those, and send you an updated version.
We're looking at.
Yeah, so just a brief overview of what IPID is. I'm not sure who's familiar with what we do, but it's a money market fund for cities, counties, utility districts, really any 2080 entity in the state of Iowa. Been around since 1987. We invest in everything that you can invest in as a city. So we have the same requirements that you do from an investment policy standpoint. So our investments are Iowa Bank CDs, agencies, treasury bonds, and then also some repurchase agreements. Investment policy, safety, number one, liquidity, number two, and then return, number three, in that order, which is also the same as Iowa Code. So again, we have those same requirements. Really, IPIT was started to encourage competition between banks, making sure you're getting the rate that you should, and you're not really in your bubble, casting a wider net, making sure again, you're getting the rate that you should be getting, across the state. There's two parts to the fund. There is a daily liquid portion. So that money or that rate will fluctuate daily. So we're very closely tied to the Fed funds rate. So when you see rates here over the last couple of years rise, we're in line with that. Now, at some point, when they dropped last year, when they are going to probably drop at some point, maybe this year, we will follow that as well. So we're very closely tied because we are very liquid and very short term. So you can always see, you'll expect if they cut rates, our rates will drop around what they will cut. You have access to that money daily. So today that's 406. So on this sheet, Vicky, her and I conversed back and forth a little bit, and based on where rates currently are at for your funds, it ended up being, so the total balance was about an annual difference of $44,274 and a monthly difference of 36.89. So that is on the entire 1.7 million that you have as a balance at the bank currently. Bank relationships are very important, and we're very aware of that. And there's a lot of things that the banks do that we can't do. We also want to, again, make sure that you're earning what you should be earning. All that money goes back into the town, right? So, 44,000 is not small, and probably can do a lot of good. But again, I think in a combination with the bank relationship, there's a happy medium there, and we deal with that quite a bit. So making sure that we're maintaining those relationships and also earning what we can. So that's on the daily fund. As long as we know by 3 o'clock on any given day that money is in or out of your iPaid account. So you put in the transaction, everything can be done online. So if you can make a transfer, a mobile bank transfer, you can make an iPay transfer. So everything is web-based. You can also call us, we can also do it, but everything can also be done online as well. The second part is we also do fixed rate investments. So we can go out, we work with over 300 banks across Iowa. We're a funding source. So because of our size, banks will come to us and say, we're looking for X amount of dollars, and we're going to pay above market rate to get that by quarter end, month end. And then we can pass that on to our clients, right? So I always say, if you're looking for a fixed rate investment, let us know. We'll get you our rates. You can either take those rates and invest with iPay, or you can also go to the bank and say, here's what we can offer. Can you match? And we're great with that, right? That's part of really the idea of the fund, is to make sure, again, that you're earning competitive rates at all times. And again, if you're not, that it's one more option that you can invest in as a city in the state of Iowa. There's no fees. You have as many accounts as you want. Right. So what a lot of times what a city will do is, if you have a fire account at the bank, you have a Parks and Rec account, you have a water account, you can also have those accounts at iPaid account. So we can match those, and the only two places that money can go are in or out. So if you have ACH set up with your fire account at iPaid, and we can attach that to the fire account at the bank, and those are the only two places that it can go. So it's a closed loop system. No fees. In many accounts you want, as many signers as you want. We also have, I heard you mention earlier, view only access. We can allow that as well. So anybody can have view only access. You're able to log on, see balances, see transfers, or really whatever you decide as far as permissions go. All that is very customizable. I don't think if I missed anything. That's really the short of it. Is it's one option. By passing the resolution does not require you to do anything. It just gives you the ability to. Right. So if at some point said we want to put something with iPaid, passing the resolution will allow you to do that. And once the resolution is passed, it never has to be passed again. So it holds for forever. I'll stop there and open it up for questions.
So, finance is not my arena.
Yeah.
So iPay is just a municipal resource, so that we can get investments or rates through you guys, or at least access them for reference.
At minimum, yeah, leverage, right?
Yeah.
I think that's, again, I think it's important that what rates you can be earning, whether that's with us or at the bank. I think it's a good reference point, as you mentioned, to make sure you are getting those rates that you should be getting.
At this point, this is not a replacement for our daily operating.
Yeah,
We still need checking account, the whole deal, but
Yeah.
we have started so many reserve funds that are intended to sit there for 10 to 15 years. We don't plan on touching it till we need to replace a bridge or a street or a fire truck. So let that money grow and work a little harder for us.
This is just a vehicle for us to have another avenue and or point of reference in terms of getting an
And
investment.
Yeah,
or
I was-
investments.
It's another tool in the toolbox for you,
Okay.
right? To whether that's investing in or using as leverage or again, we have a lot of educational opportunities that we talk markets. If anybody's curious about markets and what they're doing, what rates are gonna do, I think all those things are benefits.
what seems the easy part is, if we deposit money with them, they worry about the ins and outs and we're not out shopping everything else. They're in the market all the time. And I see that you call yourself a fiduciary, so I like to see that too.
Yeah, yeah, especially with public funds, right? I mean, that is number one priority at all times.
So how often, what is the communication like? Do we come to you? Do you come to us? To check in, or how does that?
Yeah, I think it really varies on how much communication you want, right? It's, so if, some we're talking on a weekly basis, or some have CDs that come due, a lot. And so we're having those conversations, we're getting rates. It's really completely up to you on how much communication you want. You could say, hey, we have this money, what kind of rates can we get? Or, hey, we're looking to move X amount of dollars over into this account. And again, we're always here. We're out of West Des Moines, so we're always here for answer questions, deal with problems if they arise. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we had I'm just throwing this out, if we had something where we had payment due here, and we had funds with you, we could basically ladder that or something, to different bond or different maturities, different interest rates.
Yep. Yep. And so with it, because we can buy treasuries, if you were comfortable with treasury, want to do treasuries, we can do really any term you want to on a treasury. We do 4 month, 1 month, 32 month. Yeah, we can really match those to depending on rates, what makes sense, but we can match those to really any term you want.
So like our bridge fund, where we won't be spending that for a while, we could put that money away and get some interest on it.
Yeah, we've got reserves for bridge, lagoon, fire.
Yeah, those are gonna sit there for a while, they might as well earn some money on us.
Yep.
And comes back to them, they're in the business of doing it, we don't have the expertise or the time to
And
chase that down.
they support municipalities on the
Right.
regular, yeah.
Even things like park, if there's going to be a phase 2 of the park, start stocking money into it. And let it grow until we're ready to take action on, got phase 1, shovel ready yet, but.
Well, and just to your point too, Hiawatha, we actually met with them today. Hiawatha is a client, Van Horn's a client, Marion's a client, and then I believe we're right over 300 different cities throughout the state.
So it's probably pretty common for people to have basically your money market account and some of your fixed accounts also.
Yeah, and that varies a little bit too, right? And depending on how you want to use it, we have some that just use us for fixed term.
Mhm.
We have some that just use us for liquidity, and we have a lot that do both. It just really depends on, again, what rate they're getting at the bank. There's a lot of different variables in that, but yeah, I would say for the vast majority, there's some sort of fixed rate and then also daily liquid.
Other questions? Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if, I believe I sent this to Vicky, but I'll just leave this here too. So this is the copy of the resolution as well as the account application.
We've got all that in our.
You do?
Yep,
Perfect.
we're good. So yeah, we're ready to move tonight, but
Perfect.
I'm glad you're here for questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. And I think we're gonna take off if that's okay.
Yeah,
Back-
absolutely.
Back west when, got a
100%.
little drive ahead of us.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you
yeah,
so
thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely. If you think of anything else, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out if there's other questions.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay.
A couple cards on me.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
So as you mentioned, the resolution that you have in front of you, I'm not gonna read this one. It's a lot of words, but I will read the title, which is also a lot of words. This still does not commit us to anything, and I think I'll have Vicky look into it. I think we still have to do, 'cause if you'll remember, every January we name our depositories and how much we can keep with each. I think we have to amend that, to be able to say how much money we would keep with iPate. So this is just step one to establish the relationship. And then we still have to determine how much money we wanna move with them. So, or up
And
to,
then
right?
they send you statements every month.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so you updates in your.
Yep.
Computer.
And like you said, if you go the money market route, it's liquid. I mean, we could move it daily if we needed to. So we're not even, cause we have the CD right now, which locks us in for 11 or 12 months.
Right, we should take that out of that, put that in here.
Yep.
That's what it's.
It comes back to how much do you keep of your local fiduciary to keep relationships?
Yes.
That's gonna be the question.
Yeah. But even if we just move reserve funds, like get that money working.
Yeah.
Cause right now we're making,
Not-
0.15%. If we can make 4%,
Yeah.
that goes a lot further for doing nothing for it. It was gonna sit there anyway. So, yeah, we'll look at that and I'll have Vicky put up a recommendation, so. So what we have is resolution 06-2025-01, which is a resolution authorizing the approval of and participation in a joint powers agreement and declaration of trust for the Iowa Public Agency Investment Trust, authorizing investments through the fixed-term automated investment program of iPate and authorizing iPate to designate and name depositories. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 06-2025-01? Motion by Trump. Do I have a second? Second by Myers. Any further discussion? I'm gonna roll call this one. Counselor Myers.
Aye.
Counselor Sukup.
Aye.
Counselor Trump.
Aye.
Counselor Bosenberg.
Aye,
I don't know why I skipped you, but
it's fine. I'm not here.
that is 4 ayes. That motion carries. Okay. Resolution 06-2025-02, you were gonna find this on, got a lot of iPage stuff, page 38. So this is approving FY26 employee wages for the city of Alburnett, Iowa, something we do every June. I will read this one when we're ready, but I want to fill in the blanks right now because, so we do have blanks for both positions. We have city maintenance with Mac Leach that is full-time hourly. And then we have city clerk with Vicky Kula that is part-time hourly. Currently, Mac is at $26 an hour. Vicky is at 24. We did budget for a 5% increase. So that would put Mac at $27.30 if you so choose. And Vicky at $25.20. That would be the full 5%. Yep. That's what I have to say on that. Questions? All right, I will go ahead and read this, and then whoever makes the motion gets to fill in the blanks. So resolution 06-2025-02, approving FY26 wages for the city of Alburnett, Iowa, whereas the city council of the city of Alburnett, Iowa, subject to the municipal code of ordinances, chapter 17.02, subsection 5, shall authorize by resolution the compensation of employees or officers. Now therefore it be resolved by the city council of the city of Alburnett, Iowa, that the city of Alburnett, Iowa hereby authorizes the following wages for appointed employees for the city of Alburnett for fiscal year 2025 to 2026. Section 1, the following persons and positions named shall be paid the biweekly hourly wages as defined. The city clerk is hereby authorized to issue warrants, checks, less legally required or authorized deductions for the amount set out below, and make such contributions to IPERS and Social Security or other purposes as required by law or authorization of the council. Section 3, payroll intervals, overtime provisions, and other related payroll personnel procedures shall be conducted in accordance with the City of Alburnett personnel policies and the Fair Labor Standards Act. Section 4, the pay rates below are hereby effective July 1, 2025. City maintenance for Mac, again, we'll fill in the per hour, city clerk, Vicky Kula. Section 5, all resolutions or parts thereof in conflict herein are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. I would look for a motion to approve the resolution and fill in the per hour wages, or we can have a discussion.
I want to ask something here. Is this taking part if we offer her full time?
Yes,
going?
so we'll talk about that during personnel, but,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Cause if we do choose to move that to full-time, there'll be a position elimination, and so we'll
Right,
definitely have funds, cause we budgeted for 5% across the board.
right, okay.
5% is, I would almost. I like 6% just to show that we appreciate the above and beyond that they've put. Because they've had to deal short-handed this past year. Mac was, hired under the pretense that there would be 2 people in the office besides him. And Vicky also had somebody sitting in, and they're both picking up slack that, of a position that we're not paying at all right
And,
now.
and they both have a lot more experience now.
Mhm.
Due to
And
that.
so to give them just and I'd be open to doing more, but I just don't know what that looks like and how it affects our overall budget. But I think 6% would be definitely warranted.
So that would take Mac to 27.56 and Vicky to 25.44.
And Vicky,
Or you just-
for what again?
25.44.
Or do you just give them $2 raise and,
Can do that as
you
well.
know what I'm
If we have
saying?
it, yeah.
$2 raise and, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just-
So yeah, how much is 6% on that?
I think
It'd be like
Yeah, it's close to 8% to get Vicky to $2.
Yeah, and with what we're looking at with inflation and stuff, yeah, kind of think about that.
and like say they're taking over totally.
Right.
Total everything instead of having a city administrator,
Yeah,
I think they're doing an excellent job. So.
Well, and, we'll get to item G. Maybe we did some of these backwards, but the next one is, terminating our wastewater services.
Got a question.
Because, so Mac is now certified for wastewater.
And you gotta pay him something because he's got that license now.
Well, that is no longer in our handbook.
Oh, it's
I
no
mean,
longer-
we can choose to through this process, but.
Process, not in the hand.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the summary of compensation, where
Yeah, I forgot
where
about
these
that.
numbers come from?
Forgot about that. Good call. Thank you, Joe. Page 39. So Vicky, through ClerkNet or one of the resources that we have, one of the local clerks put together a summary of all the wages specifically for city clerks and public works directors. And then I ran that through ChatGPT and asked it to compare ours to towns of similar size. So that's where you're getting that typical range for towns of less than 1,000. So that is based off of the real data that came from several cities within the state of Iowa. That some clerk was nice enough to put together for us.
as a person who has lived on both sides of the state, I can tell you the east side is.
More expensive, and that's what I'm thinking, we've got
Yeah.
this big labor magnet down here
Yeah.
that we have to fight with.
You can get by with a lot cheaper in southwest Iowa.
Yes. And obviously within those ranges, experiences were kind of all over the place. Some were 20 years, some were 6 months. So yeah, I think some of it's just gotta be where we're comfortable too.
And then Vicky's picked it up so fast,
Yes.
And she's also
Connie,
still showing you. Yeah.
Connie was worried because she hadn't been coming to her, It's like, no, she's okay. So. Mhm.
We want to just do the $2 bump.
Yeah, that basically represents 8% for both.
I would say we do it No, it may not be like that every year, but you know, at least to start out, let's show them we really care, you know.
I've been nothing less than impressed in the last year. I mean, so.
And keeping good employees is worse than money.
Absolutely.
Costs a lot to replace them.
Oh my God. I move that, we adopt the resolution with a $2 increase per hour for each of the employees listed within the resolution.
So that would put city maintenance at $28 an hour and city clerk at $26 an hour. Good? All right, I have a motion by Myers to approve resolution 06-2025-02 with wages of $28 an hour for city maintenance and $26 an hour for city clerk. Do I have a second? Second by Bozenberg. Any further discussion? Roll call, Counselor Trum,
Aye.
Counselor Bozenberg,
Aye.
Counselor Sukup,
Aye.
Counselor Myers.
Aye.
That motion passes. Alrighty. Resolution 06-2025-03, terminating the wastewater services agreement with Kenny Shoup. So as I mentioned during our previous discussion, Mac is now wastewater certified. And so I did consult with him about if he felt comfortable. So our agreement with Kenny Shoup as our affidavit operator is that we pay $1,000 a month for wastewater and $1,000 a month for water treatment. So he did split them so that as our staff got certified, we could back off of the services that we require from him. Mac does not yet have his water treatment. He is trying to get scheduled for testing on that. So specific to wastewater, he is able to be our official operator. We've already talked to Kenny about this. This will not be a surprise to him. Mac was comfortable with July 1. A, it's just a nice cutoff with the fiscal year, and B, it got us through spring drawdown. So Kenny continued to help us with the spring drawdown. So this will not be a surprise. Any questions? If not, I will go ahead and read the resolution. Because it was it was a contract that council approved, I wanted to bring it to you guys to terminate as well versus just, we had typed up a letter and I was like, it probably requires council action. So. Resolution 06-2025-03, terminating wastewater services agreement with Kenny Shoup, whereas the city of Alburnett has received wastewater system operations assistance from Kenny Shoup acting as the city's affidavit operator, whereas Mr. Shoup has provided valuable service in maintaining regulatory compliance, monitoring operations, and mentoring city staff, whereas the city has developed internal staffing capacity, including the certification of an in-house wastewater operator, whereas Matt Kleitsch has achieved his wastewater 1 certification through the Iowa Department of Natural Resources as of April 2025, whereas the city intends to make this staffing transition official with the Iowa DNR by designating Matt Kleitsch as the city's wastewater system operator of record, whereas the city wishes to transition full responsibility for wastewater operations to internal personnel as part of its long-term operational plan. Now therefore it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa, that the city hereby terminates wastewater-related services provided by Kenny Shoup effective July 1, 2025. Be it further resolved that this change does not affect Mr. Shoup's continued assistance with the city's water distribution system, which shall remain in place unless otherwise modified by future council action. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 06-2025-03?
So moved.
Moved by Sukup. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bozenberg. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right, resolution 06-2025-04, allowance of consumer fireworks pursuant to Iowa Senate File 303 per City Ordinance 41.14. The gist of this is that Iowa Senate passed a law that we cannot limit fireworks. No city can limit fireworks on July 3rd, July 4th, or December 31st. So this, so what we we started going down whether we change our ordinance, and actually our ordinance provides that we can make these exceptions by resolution. I did also certify, because I saw a KCRG article and was curious, the city of Cedar Falls took the exact same route and has almost the exact same verbiage, so this was a good way to go. So we don't have to explicitly change the ordinance, we just can by resolution allow fireworks on these days. So, questions before I read through this one? Resolution 06-2025-04, allowance of consumer fireworks pursuant to Iowa Senate File 303 per city ordinance 41.14. Whereas the City Code of Ordinances, Section 41.14 prohibits the discharge of fireworks within the city of Alburnett except when specifically authorized by resolution of the City Council. Whereas Iowa Senate File 303 allows cities to regulate but not wholly ban the use of consumer fireworks and establishes minimum periods in which municipalities must allow their use. Whereas the Alburnett City Council wishes to comply with state law while maintaining reasonable restrictions to protect public safety and neighborhood peace. Whereas section 41.14 provides that the city council may, by resolution, suspend the operations of the ordinance in whole or in part for designated dates or special public displays. Now therefore be resolved by the city council of the city of Alburnett, Iowa, that the city council hereby suspends the operation of Alburnett Code of Ordinances, section 41.14 in part for the purpose of allowing the discharge of consumer fireworks on the following dates and times in accordance with Iowa Senate File 303. July 3rd from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., July 4th from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., December 31st from 9 a.m. to January 1st at 12:30 a.m. Except as stated in section 1 above, all other provisions of section 41.14 shall remain in full force and effect. The discharge of fireworks outside the dates and times listed herein is strictly prohibited without a permit approved by the city council. This resolution does not affect the city council's ability to grant permits for supervised public fireworks displays under the provisions of section 41.14. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage and approval. Any questions? I have a motion to approve resolution 06-2025-04. Moved by Suka. Do I have a second? Second by Trump. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. Resolution 06-2025-05, adopting the City of Alburnett open records policy. We do currently have an open records request policy. It is no longer compliant with Iowa code. So the one that we put in place, it's several years old, and we established rates for various services. So a specific rate if staff pulls the records, a specific rate for copies, those types of things. Iowa code has since been updated that you have to charge actuals. You cannot charge a specified rate. So things like a digital copy, or if we were to make copies, I think our current policy says that it's $1 a copy. We have to use our actual cost of what it costs us to make that copy. So that is the gist of what is updated in the new policy. And so it will state things like it's going to be at the staff's current hourly rate. We did figure out what our photocopies cost. So 15 cents for one-sided, 20 cents for two-sided, so on and so forth. That is really the only change. But because it is a public-facing policy, I wanted to make sure council had a chance to review. Any questions?
It seems pretty clear.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. All right, so resolution 06-2025-05, adopting the City of Alburnett open records policy, whereas the Iowa Code Chapter 22 governs access to public records and establishes the rights of the public and the responsibilities of government bodies regarding the examination and copying of public records. Whereas the City of Alburnett recognizes the importance of transparency and accountability in government and desires to adopt a clear and consistent policy to guide the handling of public records requests. Whereas the city has prepared an open records policy in compliance with Iowa Code, which outlines the procedures for requesting public records, designates the city clerk as the lawful custodian, and establishes a fee schedule for retrieval and copying of records. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa, that the City of Alburnett Open Records Policy attached herein as Exhibit A is hereby adopted as the official policy of the city regarding public records requests. The city clerk is designated as the lawful custodian of all city records except as otherwise specified in the policy. The city clerk is authorized and directed to implement the policy, including the collection of applicable fees in accordance with the adopted fee schedule. This resolution shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 06-2025-05?
Or move.
Moved by Trum. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Myers. Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes,
How often do we have one of these?
a couple times a year.
Okay.
All those in favor, was that all? You good?
That's it?
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Okay. Item J, resolution 06-2025-06, approving the encroachment agreement with B&L Ag Repair LLC for the use of right-of-way adjacent to 212 South Main Avenue. So this is on page 48 of your packet. So if you'll recall, I believe it was in the November meeting, we did grant a temporary encroachment for the city right-of-way adjacent to this property. The timeline selected was based on the insurance that we were provided. It ran through the end of May. At that time, I was given directive to work with the city attorney to draft a contract. I did just receive that. I had to follow up a couple of times. So that is what you have in your packet as Exhibit A, which is the encroachment agreement that did come directly from the city attorney. So we built several things into this. Primarily, it makes sure to specify that there is no right to ownership. The city maintains all ownership. It is not transferable. So if that building were to be sold to someone else, they do not automatically get access to that right of way. It identifies who is responsible for maintenance and repairs. And also, should the agreement be terminated, it specifies that the property must be restored to its original condition, including the removal of the gravel driveway that has been installed. So I think I covered all of council's concerns. Oh, and it specifies, because the condition we placed on the temporary was that it's for ingress and egress only, not for storage. That is also in the agreement. What you then have on page 53 shows the property in question. So that is from the assessor site. And the second is also from the assessor site on page 54. I drew the yellow line just to kind of give a visual of approximately where that is. Please note on page 54, the red dumpster, because what you'll see on page 55, there's the red dumpster. This picture was taken in February as part of the nuisance procedures that were happening. So a really good landmark is the manhole or the storm sewer entrance. That is basically the property line. So the red dumpster was encroaching. It has been moved. The picture on page 56, again, please note the manhole or the storm sewer intake. This was taken on Tuesday of this week. So there is current encroachment. I feel like putting this agreement in place will give us more teeth in making sure that this doesn't happen. And should we choose to terminate said agreement, it then also specifies what original condition looks like. So I would recommend to council, this has not been presented to B&L Ag. I wanted council's review and approval first because there was no sense in having them review something if council was not in agreement.
My only trouble with this is puts his own driveway, and puts his own driveway in. Will clean up some of the mess.
Well, you will note,
He has his own driveway, doesn't he?
Well, not
did-
here, not back here, he doesn't.
No, but I
He'd
mean in the front.
Yeah, in the front, but he'd have to go around.
you
He'd
will,
have to,
Well,
let me find it.
because
It's not gonna be
You
better.
got a driveway into the shop, but it's just not very conducive to work anything else around there with all the traffic.
You have to put a driveway in here and get rid of that, yeah. You know, to get into this one.
Well, yeah,
There is a clause in here, I can't seem to find it right this second.
How much we gonna have to fight him if we.
Well, the
if he
fight's gonna
doesn't-
happen regardless.
You know,
yeah, but if we have it documented with this,
Yeah,
and he's got an
that's
agreement
true.
with us.
There is something that says he is not allowed to violate any city code.
Yeah, I think I read that in there somewhere. I'm just thinking.
I'm going back,
That would be under item number 4, termination of license. Subsection C, failure of licensee to comply with any sections of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alburnett, Iowa. So to your point, there is existing nuisance. So if he chooses not to clean those up, for whatever reason, that would also be reason to terminate the encroachment. Or we choose to do nothing. His current encroachment is no longer valid and we restart the nuisance process on the encroachment. We did drop that, in the court case because we issued the, temporary permit as a sign of good faith as we worked through, the junk and junk vehicles nuisance. I mean, one benefit is we otherwise have to maintain it, which means it's not a big deal to go mow it, but it's one more spot that we then have to go mow, so,
so he takes care of that entire 60 feet
on your back.
yes.
where there's a garage on the north side. Looks like, what's that building on the north side?
That is the neighbor's detached garage, yes,
Well,
which does encroach, that's a different, we'll have to meet with them once we get a few things settled.
yeah, well, that's another issue.
Yes, that was
But
there
I
before.
think, you've gone this far with it, might as well just keep going.
This particular agreement, like I said, it gives us more teeth. It spells things out.
Mhm.
It makes sure it's super clear. Now, again, it has not been presented to the property owner.
Yeah,
But-
he's gonna have, if he accepts this, he's got a signed copy, he can sit down and read it and understand exactly what he's dealing.
Correct.
A lot of things have been presented to this property owner to this point. They've not taken to remedy them, so. Continue to do this because he will continue to apparently do as he, or as they wish.
Mhm. And it's clearer now than what I thought, so, I
Oh,
mean, it's just,
yeah.
yeah, with,
Yeah, it just, it
it's just more.
gives us
teeth,
protections, definitely lays out expectations. And like I said, there has already been a disagreement about whether the gravel driveway is considered encroachment or not. And so this spells out that, yeah, the city did not place that there. All right, I will go ahead and read the resolution and then we will have another opportunity for discussion beyond that. So resolution 06-2025-06, approving the encroachment agreement with B&L Ag Repair LLC for the use of right-of-way adjacent to 212 South Main Avenue. Whereas the city of Alburnett, Iowa, the city is the owner of public right-of-way located immediately north of 212 South Main Avenue in Alburnett, Iowa. Whereas B&L Ag Repair LLC, the licensee, is the owner of real property located at 212 South Main Avenue and was previously granted a temporary encroachment permit by the city, allowing the licensee to utilize said right-of-way for ingress and egress to and from the licensee's property. Whereas the city attorney has prepared a formal encroachment agreement setting forth the terms and conditions under which the city will allow continued limited use of the right-of-way by the licensee. Whereas the city council has reviewed the encroachment agreement and finds the terms to be in the best interest of the city and desires to extend this agreement to the licensee for execution. Now therefore it be resolved by the city council of the city of Alburnett, Iowa, that the city council hereby approve the encroachment agreement prepared by the city attorney attached hereto as Exhibit A and authorizes its offer to B&L Ag Repair LLC as licensee for the use of the public right-of-way adjacent to 212 South Main Avenue. Upon written acceptance by the licensee, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. The city clerk is directed to attest the mayor's signature and ensure proper distribution and record keeping for the executed agreement. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and approval. So we do state in the resolution that we will not sign until he accepts. So again, that is because he's not seen this yet. So. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 06-25-06?
So moved.
Moved by Trum. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Myers. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Alright,
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, moves us to old business. I'm aiming for 8:30, guys. That's my goal. For the project update, not a lot to update, so I don't know if you recall, we did set a public hearing at the last meeting that was to take effect tonight. We did not publish that because, given we did not receive 2 of the grants that we've applied for. The third, we got feedback that we are not in their jurisdiction, but I'm gonna ask them to reconsider that. So I have talked to HR Green, and I think it is in our best interest to put a slight pause and work really, really hard through the end of this year to acquire some grants and then move forward this winter with the bidding process, which puts us ready for construction in the spring. So we're still within the fiscal year, but then we know we have some funds. And so they did recommend that we just wait on the public hearing until we're closer to bid letting, just so there's not so much time in between. If we don't do that, if we want to go with the amount that we have budgeted, we basically, and what I have talked to them, the project currently is the, what did I say, 16 by 20 pavilion. I think it's a 16 by 20 pavilion, the actual usable space, 1 pickleball court, and it would get us just the sidewalk in front of those 2 amenities. We would not be able to complete the walking trail, with the current budget. So I think it behooves us to work really hard for a few months and try and get some more funding so we can do a little bit more at phase 1. Because I don't think a 16 by 20 is sufficient. And I would like to see the full walking trail become a reality with phase 1. That's my opinion.
do we know what the cost of the full walking trail is?
I don't have it in front of me.
And as far as applying for grants, would we stand a better chance if we have a little more detailed? Not have done this, but we're waiting to do the entire thing and to try to get some buy-in from someone issuing the grant.
So I talked to, the one grant that we didn't get, I did talk to them and they actually really loved our application. So in our application, we mentioned what we have budgeted and then we would be willing to do it in phases if we needed to, but prefer to do it all in one shot. And so they just had too many competing, so ours just did not come to the top. So I do know the Iowa, I think it's through the DNR. The REAP grant opens here pretty soon, and so that is specific for parks. It does exclude certain things like courts and playgrounds, but the pavilion and the walking trail would qualify, and so Vicky's got the application ready for that. So there are opportunities, and so I think it would behoove us to take just a slight pause and pursue those. So that is my park project update. Any questions? If you don't agree, we can set a public hearing for next month and move forward with what we've got, but.
I think we'd like to try to do it right.
Do it right first time.
Yeah. We're not in a huge hurry, so. All right. Brings us to the Cintas rug service contract. So this was tabled Grant, you can correct me if I need a motion to untable, but regardless, that is page 57. So we did have, Vicky and I had a meeting with Cintas and we got more information, because I know some of the questions were around frequency and the term of the contract, if they would do a shorter term. And basically what we learned is that it is a per month charge, regardless of whether we have them swap out the rugs or not. So there is a minimum. So the monthly minimum is $35 or 50% of the invoice, whichever is greater. In our case, I believe it would be the $35. If they do swap them out, then we just pay per rug that they swap out. And then it is a 5-year agreement. They do not do less than 5 years. So that is what we learned. Vicky did look into, so what you have on the bottom of that, the Office Express, she found very similar mats through Office Express. So she's got, I think she pared it down just a little bit, and so the total cost of those is $250. If we just looked at putting more sturdy rugs in.
I'm just gonna voice my opinion on this. That, I understand it's a cost per month, but minuscule, and the $250 to buy them and put them in ourselves doesn't include maintaining them, cleaning them, picking them up, get dirty, cleaning them, you know, this way, we go to with Cintas, it gets done every month. That's my opinion. I understand that, you don't, the $250, that doesn't count your labor in it or doing
That's true.
anything else. And then you get rugs like what we got out here. They get old and, and then to pick up a rug like that and shake it, it's not easy to shake, where they come in, roll it up, take it out of here and put a new one down. So,
might be splitting hairs, but whose discretion is it to swap out the rugs?
It would be ours, but
Okay.
we're gonna pay monthly whether they come or not.
I'm just saying.
But it is
We're
ours.
looking at a difference between 35 a month or 52 a month, because if it's their discretion, then they'll swap out all the rugs every month.
oh yeah,
Oh, no, it's up to us. We
Okay.
basically call, or we just say, hey, come monthly.
Okay.
yeah, they take all the rugs at one time.
Okay.
Yep.
And especially in the wintertime, you get more traffic out here
Yeah.
coming in. It keeps it off our carpet, I mean, it just,
And the way they explain it, the 35, the minimum is because basically we're renting the rugs. And so then the 52 is what would account for them actually coming out and swapping them. But they're like, you have possession of the rugs regardless. And so it's more a rental than,
And if we don't need them cleaned in a month, what happens? No charge, no nothing.
No.
it's the
No,
35 minutes.
So it's just a minimum.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our water,
Right.
like there's a minimum
that's
fee.
that fee.
Yeah.
You're talking,
It's been $17.
what, $17? Yeah.
So if you just get them cleaned every month,
Yeah, just get them.
Just have them swapped every month.
That's what I have looked at,
it always look nice.
especially in the wintertime. I mean, even if you have to call them more than once for, you take all the salt and everything you put on there and you start cracking it in. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Especially to the back door here,
Mhm.
back coming in and out.
That's just my opinion.
We could look at quantity too, because I think she had one there, she had one out in the bay so that he could wipe his feet before he comes in, and then two in the lobby.
Yeah.
So we could look at quantity too. They didn't have a minimum on quantity. That was Vicky's, that's how we ended up with the 5. And they did say we can always add more. They're always happy to add.
Minimum 5-year term? Was that-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was non-negotiable.
Okay.
They did say they've let some smaller towns out, but I won't bank on that. If we go forward, we have to be with the understanding it's a 5-year term.
And the rate sticks?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and because the reason for the 5-year term is because they group all the government contracts together. And so they actually said that rate doesn't generally change even many, many years. So it's a pretty solid rate.
Yeah, I would just say go ahead, move forward with it. It is one less thing for us to take care of. Adds longevity to the carpet, which is something that we would definitely have to pay to replace. Too much dirt and stuff getting into it, so.
I know Vicky's been sweeping it, but it's still, still you can't clean them,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so, but
Is that for the 5?
So we're talking bay.
Day and then right inside the
right
door,
there. Then
back door, and then 2 in the foyer.
do we want 2 in the foyer or do we want foyer one in front of the counter where people stand?
Well, it's that counter though, so it's under the counter
that's right,
and then
they-
as
yeah.
they come in the door.
when they
So
come in the
used to
door. yeah.
Coming in myself, but
You don't count.
I don't.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I used to have them where I used to work and it's like, I'm glad I don't have to do that. That was my job if I was gonna, I'd have to clean them and it's like, yeah, I wanna do that.
Could you include the meeting room at the station? Those 2 door entrances,
Oh, I'm sure we could.
Sure.
cause that would really be, I mean,
Mhm.
we vacuum that a lot. But wintertime, especially the deputies coming in,
what's
Is it-
what their reaction is to that, because if it's a second
Locations.
location,
You could have them dropped off here and we can take them up there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they were pretty flexible.
Yeah.
They were even talking
I-
about paper products and all sorts of, like, I asked them for pricing on that. I haven't seen it yet, but I can take it back to them. I also, regret,
too.
But
but what have
kind
you,
of going by
Three?
radio room, you mean there?
No,
Or
the
what?
2 entrances to the meeting room, so that north door.
It's the
by
back
kitchen,
door. Yeah, the back door. to
Oh, the back
kitchen.
door by the
and the
kitchen?
east door,
Okay,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
because in
The
the winter.
other ones are
especially,
concrete.
We have
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of traffic coming in there all the time.
Yeah,
And it's not
that makes sense.
necessarily us, but that's.
yeah, I mean,
I think
definitely quote it out. I have no problem.
there was so much traffic.
With what
there.
we've got.
Much,
And even if it is an
maybe
incremental
different
amount
feet there,
more,
but
it
we have
makes
a lot of
sense
feet
to
coming in here,
Yeah,
same feet.
Not
all
a
the
big
time.
deal.
try to keep these buildings looking nice.
So when you got something new, you put a lot of money into it and what's,
Exactly.
it's $50 a month.
and you don't need them on the ones that come in on the polished concrete?
I mean, we can maintain those, but I'm just more concerned about the carpet,
Okay.
especially when
Yeah.
we're trying to, when we go in, when we know it's rented,
Yeah.
we try to get the vacuuming, make sure the garbage and,
Cause we know when,
toilets are clean
when the
and,
other places are having their meetings there and then we have it rented out or whatever, make sure that it's clean. There's nobody else doing it but us, I think.
That is true.
We're the ones cleaning it.
Wait till the next agenda item.
oh,
Okay,
But
that's a good,
Or till the next one.
asking.
No one cleaning the station but them. I said, wait till the next agenda item.
so,
Um,
That would be helpful.
So-
It would be very nice.
so if those were the 3x5, it would add another $20, assuming they don't charge us for the second location. It is just per rug.
Why don't we, can we get some clarification on that,
Yep.
just so we know? I mean, this isn't something that has to happen right away.
Agreed. And we should have included the actual agreement for you all to approve, so.
If it is, I'll continue to take them out and power wash them every couple of months.
Hose training, right?
We could ask.
Well, except if you use the actual hose, you end up chasing them.
Hey, you stand on that. Put your boots on.
That's right.
Hold it up.
All right, we'll get clarification on that. But it sounds like we're looking to move forward, so we will make sure that the agreement is in the July packet and we'll have that available for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good call out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, personnel committee update. So what you'll see in your packet, page 59. So I did meet with Counselor Myers and Counselor West as they volunteered to help. So this was what we stepped through. It's called a RACI. I use these at work. So it stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. You don't have to read all of these. What you'll see on the left-hand side, Rebecca and I had started going through this right before she left. So we were already working on assigning like the roles and responsibilities is basically all this does. And then what we did on the right is we looked at what does this look like if we go back to our previous organization and how we were organized before we introduced the city administrator position. What I would like to call out, down at the bottom of page, or on page 60, I did total each of these. And so what you'll see, what's not standard, but I thought really important to call out is I labeled some as R2, which meant that person was basically a backup. So they were secondary responsibility. So the city administrator position has 22 tasks that they are responsible for, 26 that they are the backup. Whereas if you look over at the other structure, if we go back to how we were structured with the city clerk, public works director, and then a part-time support, for the most part, they're single digits as far as being backups. So I know when we implemented the city admin, that was one of the draws, was that we'd have a backup. But what I saw in implementation or in execution is that it started to turn into conflict of that's why this started, because who's responsible for what.
Mhm.
Yeah. Who's writing the minutes, who's editing, who's doing.
Yep, and even, when the idea around the city admin when it came to projects is that they would take the lead, but there's so much overlap between, think the park project, you've got finance involved, you've got public works involved, so it really wasn't something they can just run with. It turned into then all three of them having to be involved in that particular project. So the only place where that wasn't true is around things like writing policies and updating those types of things. But I'm going to be really honest, with the advent of AI, that has become a much smaller task. So the open records request policy, AI, because you ask it, make sure it's compliant with Iowa code. It will go out and basically look at other examples from other cities because it's all public record. So it's really easy for the AI agents to find these things. All of our resolutions are basically written by AI. You have to go in and tweak it and make sure it's what we want. But that has saved us a lot of that administrative time that otherwise would have fallen to the city admin. So, Chris, did I miss anything from our discussion before we get to the recommendations?
Now that pretty much covered it in terms of things shake out, how they're different now.
Yeah. So the proposal, you'll find that on page 61 and 62. So again, we looked at roles and responsibilities. We wanted to make sure that we had sufficient support for operations, align responsibilities and compensation, and all of that was reviewed by the personnel committee. So our recommendation is to convert the city clerk back to a full-time position. So right now that is part-time. Promote city maintenance into the public works director position. And we had always had that in line. That was something that we intended to do as that person got certified, to have that career progression. So I would recommend that as he's working through his certifications, because if you look at the city maintenance job description as it stands today, we did not put any certifications in there as requirements. So promote to public works director and then add a part-time city support position. This is a little different. I had it in there as part-time city maintenance, and Counselor West had a great recommendation because there can be some downtime. Specifically, I know we've gotten lucky with just a few of our part-times that they had flexibility to go do other things if we didn't need their support. But it makes it very difficult to fill that position. You have to find that just that diamond of a person that doesn't have to have the hours. Whereas if we make it city support, in the RACI, we actually built in opportunities for them to help within City Hall. So phone and walk-in support, not every day. But they would do nuisance and nuisance follow-up. That's something today that would fall to MAC. And so that could be, the city support can just go around town and follow up on if there are any nuisance, and then follow up with the county. If there's any outstanding, helping with community room rentals, going through that checklist, any cleaning that needs to happen at the station. Equipment inventories was not something originally on there. We have been pretty lax in keeping up with those. We always kind of get started. So this could be a great kind of off-season for the city support. Open records requests even, filing, those types of things. So while they will have to have a majority of their skill set on the city maintenance side as far as mowing, plowing, maintenance, those types of things, we would complement that with some more, a little bit more hands-on within City Hall. Again, none of the financials, and so I don't think there would be a huge conflict in finding someone that helps fit that bill. And then eliminating the vacant city administrator position for now. I just think that at the size that we're at right now, there's just not enough for that person to manage. However, what I did see, it tends to be around 1,000 to 1,200 is where cities start adding that city administrator back in. So we never did codify it. So I think now's the time. If we don't feel like it's a necessary position, we back away from that, and then we can always add it in again in the future. So from a financial impact, we kind of talked about it when we talked about their raises, moving the clerk to full-time, and just the increases that we chose to give them. If we eliminate that city administrator role, that does take quite a bit from this year's budget. We budgeted, I think, 75,000 this year for that role. So that should give us, again, we'd still have, some of that would go towards that city support as well. But that pay range would be what we have on city maintenance today, which is 20 to 30 would be my recommendation. I'm not asking for any action tonight. I want y'all to think about this, kind of chew on it, and then I'll stop for questions and discussion as well. And then I will come with all the necessary resolutions, job descriptions, and those types of things next meeting. But I wanted an opportunity for feedback from the whole group.
You've got on the pay, so would that max out at 28, the way it's set?
Really, we can always adjust pay ranges. That's just on the
Okay.
job description.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
all right.
So yeah, I didn't move that range right now, based on the wage comparisons that we were provided. It's a reasonable range.
Okay. I did, yeah, okay.
So I didn't change any of the pay bands that we currently have.
Okay.
But we address those just through job description updates, which we should be doing regularly anyway.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to wait till next month?
Yeah, I don't want any action tonight. So just if you have any questions or thoughts initially, otherwise take it home and think about it. I'm happy to meet with anyone if you think of things. I do not want any action tonight.
So the use of AI is a large factor in this. And the realization that there's a lot of overlap between these two positions and what city administrator is.
Yeah, and even realistically, the things that we were asking that position to back up, where they didn't maybe have that skill set. So like plowing snow, for example. Are we better off hiring the city support that with the expectation of you're gonna plow snow versus having an administrator that's
Drive a truck.
there's a potential that they'll have to. I was just gonna pull up,
Yeah, I see in Vicky's report too, Mac's been training her to do water samples and
Yep.
doing it on weekends. So that makes it, alleviates, gives him some free time too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the things that I had on the city administrator's list, the comp plan, which we've already got an RFP out for that. A street replacement plan, procurement policy, snow removal policy, all of those, I would start with AI. Cause it's gonna go out and find, I mean, honestly, our fireworks one, I guarantee it pulled from Cedar Falls, cause it reads almost exactly the same as the Cedar Falls resolution.
Like our streets replacement you can just about put what we got in there and just fix it, update it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that data from HR Green. It was just a matter of kind of building around it. And again, Vicky's gonna have to weigh in on that from a finance standpoint. So. But the core of the policy, again, our open records request, that one's done. We need a record retention policy, those inventories, a vehicle replacement schedule. I would start with AI. Here are the vehicles we have. Here's the ages that they are. We put this many miles on them and let it
How
build
long
us a
do these
policy.
last? Just, yeah. And, yeah.
Yep. And then we can always tweak it. It just gives you something you can start with, so. So that was a majority of the list
But
of
even with
things.
AI, you could almost make a projection on what do you think this is gonna cost in 5 or 10
Mhm.
years for get copper. That'd be worth a lot.
And it's market data. It saves from having to go individually. I will be honest, when I first started writing resolutions, Monticello's great about publishing theirs. So I would read Monticello's. I would read, you pick pieces from each of these. I don't do that anymore. And actually, if it gives you what you don't like, you go, okay, try again. And it spits you another one.
Yeah, I can't believe the amount of time you have to spend writing resolutions like that.
And now, again, you still have to review them and tweak them and make sure they make sense for us, but it gets you 90% of the way there.
It's always easier to edit.
Yep. So, yeah, looking at that list, that's what really leads me to, between that and the overlaps, I think we'd be better off to get more help on the public works side. And we can always readdress this,
Okay.
so.
And Public Works, you were talking about, part-time
Yeah, that city support would be part-time,
and.
but it'd be regular
Have
part-time.
an idea of what kind of hourly, employment they have? Would be 32 or thereabouts?
I
The
don't know.
part-time?
That feels a little high.
Okay, but
Probably
keep them-
28.
in that range?
Yeah,
Okay, 20, 25, something.
I was more in the 2024
Okay.
range, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we could keep them busy for 32.
No,
So I would confer with, Mac did send me a list of things, like the mowing, those types. So there's some things predictable. But like snow plowing, you never know when you're gonna need it. So we'd come up with a good recommendation or an estimate of how many hours per week we could keep that person busy. But I envision more of a 24.
Had AI predict how much snowfall.
It's probably coming. But realistically, I could have AI look at I can load the roles and responsibilities, explain some of what we have going on in the city, and it can actually probably get pretty close.
boy, budgets are gonna be easy next year.
Exactly. Give it 5 years and be like, tell me what we need. All right.
Or
Any other questions on the personnel committee update? Again, no action tonight. Think about it. I will come with everything prepared next month and we can tweak. I'll leave blanks so we can tweak as needed, but I wanted to bring you along on the thought process. All right. With that, final comments, Counselor Trump,
nothing.
Counselor Rosenberg,
Yeah, nothing.
Counselor Suka,
I don't think I got it.
Counselor Myers,
Nothing in this time.
Fire Department.
I'm interested to know what the record retention policy is.
Yeah, we don't have one yet.
For you guys.
Yeah, GPT. What's the?
I wanna know how long we need to keep our meeting minute notes.
Oh, yeah. We'll keep you posted. It's on the list. All right. I got nothing. Date and time of next meeting, July 10th, 2025 at 7 PM. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.